All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. We have talked about several recreation activities through this video segment every week. And one of them that I have always found very helpful is art. Now, art itself is very, very broad. I mean, there's so many different things and activities that kind of fall under the umbrella term that is art. It could be coloring, painting, sculpting, but it could also be things like crafting and knitting. It could be virtual things like videography or things like that. But today we are going to be talking about painting. So this is something that I have kind of gotten away from, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But it comes with so many different benefits, and so we are going to talk about some of those benefits today. So benefit number 1, exercising our right brain. Many people won't engage in art or painting because they say, I'm not creative, I can't do it, and that creativeness is thought to be a characteristic of the right side of our brains. But you don't have to be Picasso in order to reap the benefits of painting. If you consider yourself to be more of a left-brained individual, more of that like logical thinking individual, then painting can be extremely beneficial to you by simply strengthening the right side of your brain. And with that, it's going to promote more creativity with regular practice. Exercising our left brain, benefit number 2. Every painter comes across problems through the progression of their painting. So I said that this is something that I kind of got away from. This is exactly why. As a perfectionist, I just really struggle with this sometimes. That line is too thick, that color is too bright, that color is too dark, that brush is too big. There are so many elements that go into painting. And when we experience these things, we constantly have to adapt. And in those types of situations, we are engaging our left side brain too, and more of that logical side. So then through our creativity from our right side and kind of pairing that logical thinking with our left side, then we are then working both sides of our brains. And that is pretty cool. I don't think that many people think about painting as being a very relaxing activity, and it is. But we don't realize how much we are actually using and working and exercising our brains at the same time, because it's fun and we're putting together something that's really beautiful. So, benefit number 3, practicing movement and manual dexterity. So, whether it's gripping a brush, dipping the brush into paint, making long strokes across a canvas, you are practicing both fine and gross motor skills. And I really want to emphasize to you guys that if you need an adaptation, that's okay. You are still going to reap the benefits of painting, even if it might look different than it used to. In fact, our OT students are going to be leaving a couple of adaptations that they came up with in the comments, so be on the lookout for those. Benefit number 4, coping and distraction. So painting and other types of art can serve as a coping mechanism, helping us process difficult emotions, difficult situations. And when we engage in this, it allows us a very safe space that distracts us while constructively occupying our minds and our bodies. This is also known as flow, kind of that state where you're concentrated so much on something that you kind of just forget about everything else that's going on. And we'll expand more on that another week, but I do think it's important to emphasize and recognize, especially right now with everything that's going on, that many recreation activities can also be used as effective coping skills. So, with that being said, benefit number 5, enhancing self-awareness. So, through these activities, through patience, concentration, visualization, painting gives us an opportunity to really reflect and learn more about ourselves. I said, as a perfectionist, it can be really hard for me to sit down and engage in painting because I have this vision of what it looks like in my head, and I just want to get to that final product. And so I kind of rush through it, and when I rush through it, I make mistakes, and then I get upset. But I have found art to be very relaxing and enjoyable too. And when it is relaxing and enjoyable, it's when I take a step back and take it slow and give myself the freedom to make mistakes. I think it's important to realize that, any art is good art. And like we said earlier, by simply practicing it, we're going to reap those benefits no matter what it looks like. So I just wanted to share those with you guys. And, there are a lot of benefits that you can find in research among individuals with MS and art. When it comes to paint specifically, there aren't, like a huge amount of studies, but there are multiple studies of art programs among individuals with MS, and most of those results showed decreases in stress, increases in self-esteem and self-efficacy, positive support through disease progression. So, my challenge for you today is to participate in some kind of painting activity. If you would rather go solo and, paint whatever you want, that's totally fine. If you're a person who would like more structure and guidance, then there is a Art Sherpa video link that will be attached to this post. So feel free to take a look at that. It only requires a couple colors, brushes, and Q-tips. And in the video, she uses a canvas, but you could really use any paper. I would just make sure that it's a little bit thicker, like more of a cardstock, so the paint and the water doesn't kind of soak through the paper and make it all wrinkly. And as I stated earlier, the OT students are going to be providing us with a few OT adaptations in the comments. So if you're like, this is something that I would really like to try or participate in, but I don't really feel like I can, then take a look at those. And if you still feel like there's a challenge or a barrier there, please feel free to reach out to us. And that goes for anybody. If I encourage you to share the challenges and the barriers that you have found when participating in art, because we as a team, especially me as a rec therapist, I want to see you engaging in leisure activities, and I would love to help problem solve with you to get you back to those things that you enjoy, because I definitely believe in the power of recreation to help and to heal. And if you don't have any supplies laying around, then I just encourage you to engage in some type of art form. Coloring, sculpting, whatever it may be. Something like I said that maybe you got away from, maybe it's time to get back to it. So I hope that everyone has fun, first of all. And if everyone is willing to share, or if some people are willing to share, I would definitely love to see the results of your art. So thanks for joining me this afternoon, and I will see you next week. Bye, everyone.